Welcome back, accounts people. So onwards with task 5 of the walkthrough of the business tax FA24 version. Just to remind you, using the Osborne one because I don't like using the AAT ones because people look at them when they should be doing the AAT ones first. They're far too valuable, far too important. So from task 5, we'll just do task 5 and 6 now in this video, and we better get on with it. So Doomon, 6,000 shares in Grundy for £24,000. It's got most of the aspects in this question, so there isn't that much more. So we better just put that in. You can just start putting things in. Purchase shares, Oct 2001. It was 6,000. Not sure that figure's necessary there. Oops. Both those 24,000 are there, but they're in the answer, so we'll leave it. They're manually marked, so the examiner would understand. Because that's a cost rather than index cost, it wouldn't necessarily matter if that one's not there. Bonus shares. So bonus issue shares don't have any cost. Might as well put that one in, so remember that one. 1 for 10, so you're going to get 600. Cost-wise, batch-wise, they relate to these ones anyway. You're only getting them because you bought, or they're only getting them because they bought these shares in October 2001. So, but you might get somebody giving you some index figures that relate to that time period. April 22, they might have split it, which would be wrong because it's pointless. It hasn't cost you anything. So at that point, they would be pulled, or 10 days later, they would be pulled. And the next issue is July 2003, so it's plenty of time later. So we better put the index in up until July 2003. So again, you could put the subtotal in there, fine, and the cost, or you could just put the index in. So the index is going to be the 0.144. Make sure you pick the right one. There could be questions where there's ones that you don't use. Fortunately, I was reading what I was typing. So 2736. Got enough room if somebody wanted to. There seems to be a bit of extra row sometimes, or sometimes you have to take things out to fit them in the box. So just be prepared and play around on the practice papers. I think this one, yeah, you could possibly do a subtotal there. It wouldn't be wrong as such. I'm going to do a subtotal later though. So the next item, so the rights issue. So most of the items, so if you haven't done DAFE or whatever, rights issues where you buy shares and they're offered to existing shareholders first, so they don't dilute and annoy them because they suddenly find they don't own so much of the company because you've sold some of the shares. Usually at a discount, but the discount doesn't matter. It's the price paid that will matter. The rights issue, July 3. Don't what happened to the brackets there, never mind. So they bought 1 for 5. So again, they're allowed to buy at a discount 1 share for every 5 that they've got. They had 6,600 shares at the time. So they get 1320 shares maximum. So fully taken up. Rights issues aren't always fully taken up. We know that they paid £3.80. So 1320 times 8.8, 5016. We'll put that in the column. And then those will get pulled 10 days later. So we've now got, at that point in time, index cost of 31752, actual cost of 29016. So we can index the 20, well, it's always to do December 2017 when indexation was stopped for these calculations. That's just a 7920. It was a bit weird. There was no particular way of laying this out. In fact, to be honest, I'm not really going to worry about typing that one in. We don't really need that figure. It's already there. So actually, if we put it here, so 31752 times the 0.534. And then perhaps do another subtotal, that will work nicely. And then we've got our disposal. Otherwise, there's no gain or anything to calculate. It's got to be a disposal in it. 4,000 shares, £5.50. So doesn't need the minus symbol. It's not a disaster if you put it in. We don't need the proceeds in the table because this is all about calculating the costs. The proceeds will be in the little box down here. I suppose, why not? That's the 22,000 they got. So the cost of the disposal, we need to work out what proportion of that cost it was. So if we do our 48708, divide it by our 7920, times it by our 4,000, get the bottom mass in the right way, it is big mass. We've got 24,600. Now that's fine for our table to work out our balance. And then got 3,920. Didn't need a calculator for that one. We need to do the cost here. Would be tolerance for up or down on that one. And then that will be 29016 minus. And that will be 48708 minus our 24600. The only problem is here, that makes the cost 24,600 when they physically cost 14655. So the rule here that is being tested is that indexation can't increase or create a loss, which means all we can do is put 22,000 here and have a nil gain. because they have, if you're taking indexation into consideration, made a loss, although in cash terms they haven't. But we can't use the indexation to a loss that would therefore be carried against further share issues and tax. So they've tested that one. So we've seen bonus issue, rights issue, we've seen pooling, we've seen indexation. The only other main issue here is the matching rules. There's no matching in there. Not to be confused with the personal tax matching rules. This is a business. It's only anything within about 9 days that's matched. Anything after that gets pulled. However, selling 2,000 shares on the 30th of May. So without getting the calendar out, I think the 25th of May isn't as many as 9 days. So this indexation factor is irrelevant because actually we're going to match these two lots and assume that those 2,000 came out of that, which is nice sums, £4 each. So 2,000 shares would be £8,000. So actually they're going to lose £400. And then highlight, fill the appropriate item there. And that's got most of the issues that will come up. Bit of practice, practice filling in the grids. This one's quite tight. Whether you need a subtotal or not, they're manually marked. So as long as it makes sense and they can see how you've worked things out, workings out quite often matter a lot more if you haven't got the answer right to see where you went wrong, because then you only lose marks for what you've got wrong. A fairly typical shares question. So we move on, task 6. Let's have a look. Task 6 is about long trading items and dates and calculating corporation tax. This one hasn't got a marginal calculation in, so just make sure you do that. It also hasn't got an associated company in there. So make sure you look up the rules on associated companies as well. It's got pretty much everything else in. So first thing, 16th month period ending 31st of January. So a little bit like some other with dates. According to examiners, students do get things like this wrong. Not taking enough time, not doing the calculations. So there's no harm in writing out a little calendar or line of months on a bit of paper just to be absolutely sure about it and make sure we're actually getting it. So here we go. Here's my line. That was our 16. I might be overdoing it a little bit, but obviously it might be. It has had to use this with students in the past. To help them. Now, what we're interested in is the rules, of course, mean that the first 12 months are treated together, and then we'll get the second 5 months as a different accounting period. Always the way the rules you have to know. Long period of accounts are split into 12 months, and then the shorter time period, 12 months then, which helps us fill in our answers. So note where that was, end of September. So we can fill it in. So 30th09. Again, I haven't written the years on here. But but we can do that because it was January 25, so it's 24. If we needed to, we could have written 24 and 25 on our, and then the end date will be the 31st of January 25. Marks earned. Trading profit. Trading profit is relatively the easy one because it's just a straightforward division. We haven't got any other information in terms of turnover or anything like that. So we have literally just got to take trading profit divided by 16 times 12. And we could do the sums, we could add it up, we could do all sorts of things to do this one. So again, trading profit divided by 12 times 4. Something's gone wrong there. Divided by G. 5 divided by 12 times 4. That's not right. I know that's way off. Start again. Equals G5 divided by 12 times 4. Is my calculator not playing not right? What's happening? Hang on, what's happening here? 31st of March. Oh, I know what I've done. I've imitated a student's error. It was 4 months. The 4 months was a bit, but it was 16 months. The 3449600 was for the 4 months. And we could also have done cap 1s divided by 3. We could have taken the 2 million, this figure off this figure. We could come to the same number either way. If you want to double check it, there we are. It goes back to the original figure. Easy to do on a spreadsheet. So bank interest. So bank interest is accrued. There's going to be something on bank interest, 18,450, but the investment was made on the 1st of October 24. So that was the investment. So all of that bank interest is going to be October onwards. It's going to be in the second cap. And then we've got rental income from June onwards, received monthly from June onwards. Total. So let's just go back to our graph. So June onwards, rental. Give it a nice colour. If you like doing this, obviously make sure you've got the appropriate pens. So hang on, read the information carefully in the question. 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, June, July, August, September. And maybe put the numbers in. Eight months. So the amount, the 334, is 41805 a month. But actually, having done it visually, we've got half of it in the one cap, half of it in the other cap. Either way, it's coming to the same number. I'll do it the simple way. So 167,220. And then the qualifying charitable donation, 31st of December 23. December 23 is well back here. So that will go in the first cap. But that's going to be an add back. There's no pluses or minuses here. We've just got to remember to add back. Now, because I'm on a spreadsheet, I can do it quite easily. So our trading profits plus bank interest, isn't it in this case, plus the rental income minus our QCD. And I'll just copy it there. I did the formula properly. So far, so good. But that number isn't part of the answers because this is the corporation tax payment. It's way over the threshold, way over 250,000. So, equals. Missed something off. 685,980. This one, it isn't a quarter, or sorry, a third of 25%, because the business is carrying on, so it's the tax due for it. It does cause a bit of confusion, that one. It's still 25%. The tax due on it, they're way over the £250,000 threshold. This sounds happened again. What have I done? Yeah. HMRC rounds down in favour of the taxpayer. Is the correct answer. I don't think you'd lose marks if you round it up. Yeah, so that's task 5, the shares, and task 6 done. 7 and 10 to come on a separate video, with the written ones 8 and 9 also on another video at some point later. And notice those two didn't require much out of the reference material. Okay, you could in theory have used the 25% and had to look that one up, but hopefully by the time you get to the exam, you know the main rate of corporation tax.